Alright mate, Slimid here, and welcome to this little, I guess, speed build of a Smash Bros. Custom stage. Now I do actually build stages sometimes, I would say regularly, but I'm not actually that consistent with it. What you see me do here is build a bucket, which is an advanced technique that does kind of a little weird trick with the game, where it fills in a hollow area. And we use that just to make a background, then we've got what we call the comb technique to make a gradient. That's just to make an interesting looking skybox. And here I am doing, well, attempting to do borderless. So used to doing borderless just on the handheld, that doing it on, well, the actual controller itself, just, I'm not used to it. So it takes me a good few while to actually get hold of it. I think I dropped some of them. But essentially I'm doing another gradient here, just to give it a little bit more, well, a bit more of an interesting look to it. Now, it's probably not obvious straight away unless you're like a die-hard Final Fantasy fan what I'm actually doing here, but I'm actually trying to make Zero Miss's battle background. And I'll pop that up on screen whenever I actually come to edit this, what that is. I'm actually trying to make Zero Miss himself here, or Zeromus, I believe they actually pronounce it in-game. And essentially, it's like flying through space or something. The actual fight itself takes place on the moon, but the actual battle is like flying through space or something. And you see me here trying to do borderless again. I actually nail it the first time there. I'm doing it once more just so I can kind of get like a black border around that. So I'm doing borderless to make a border, kind of ironic. Now I do have a little bit of trouble trying to make his eyes here, and I have to make the head a lot bigger just to make it work. And you see like a brief skip after I do this, because I try making the eyes, but the eyes just won't become small enough for this. So you'll see a brief skip round about now, and that's because I actually went to the Tin Gaming Discord and asked for advice, and they said do it diagonal and you might be able to get it smaller, so that's what I did. Now Tin Gaming, ran by Tevlev, is mostly a stage builders Discord. It is more or less a general Nintendo Discord, but a lot of, like, take for example your best stage builders like Tevlev himself, Torbe, GD Cons, some of the ones that you always see pop up on most popular stages that are actually making actual stages and not weird gimmick stages or artwork or just memes and stuff like that. They typically build stuff and put it up on there, and that's where a lot of the advanced techniques are getting shared around. But you see here, whenever I'm making this, you might notice I'm flicking back and forth, and the reason why I'm doing that is just to adjust my measurements and that. I have, at the same time while I'm making this, which I should state by the way, this took me about an hour and a half to make. I think an hour and 39 minutes exactly, if I'm going off of the recording length. And you'll notice me jumping back and forth, and the reason why I'm doing that is because, well, I'm checking the measurements to make it even, but also at the same time, I also have on my computer like a rough drawing of the stage, because it is a stage I've already made before, but I wanted to do an updated version, which I'll pop up the old version on the screen right now. Just for comparison, so you can have a laugh at how bad it looks. I have actually grown quite a bit as a stage builder, over the year or so, because that was posted, I believe, December the 18th I posted it, the original, and that's because Sephiroth came out. Originally I'd made the stage in November, but what had happened is I thought, I don't know what music to pick, and it just so happened that some Final Fantasy stuff ended up being added to Smash Ultimate shortly afterwards. What you see me making here is the fixed platforms, which basically platforms with that little wall at the edge so you can't bounce off the side of the platform. And you see me adding the rails to actually move the background up, so that whenever you boot into the fight, it raises up and you can't actually see the original stage background. So basically it's a bit of a trick to actually make the stage look like it has its own custom background and that. And I switched to Min Min here simply because, and I'm noticing it's stuttering a little bit here, and I'm wondering if that's just because of the recording or because it was flickering back and forth and that. And sometimes you'll notice there's a few pauses and that because, like I said, I'm so used to doing borderless, by hand, rather than on the actual controller, that it actually started giving me like repetitive strain in my hand, and it just really hurt. So every so often I had to stop and just like kind of like crack my hand a bit. But the reason why I switched to Min Min there is because there's a weird problem with tethers whenever it comes to custom stages, where characters that will like tether grab to stages, but sometimes they'll bounce off it. And this can be because an extra part is jutting out. Essentially, two colliding objects will cause issue for tethers and cause tethers to snap. I'm trying to put a little bit more detail here. I'm actually using a border here on these, just so that it actually makes it look smaller. I try giving like a nose highlight here, but it doesn't look right. But then I get a different idea of flip it around and make it a head highlight. And you'll notice that just as a quick test to switch to Joker and mess around with Joker and do some stylish stuff for a little bit, and then that's pretty much it for the stage building.